Okay friends, welcome to the 17th module. We will be looking at the class templates. We have looked at function templates in the previous module. Now, in this particular module, we will be looking at the class templates. Class templates are used for defining generic classes. It is basically a sketch, like a function template was a sketch of a class, what a class should be doing without specifying the type of the element of the class. Okay, that is the class template. Later on, we will be able to instantiate that particular class when we define an object. Okay. This almost the same thing which we have looked at function template. Syntax is almost the same, but then there are some differences that we are going to look at in this particular module. We will start with a typical class called stack. Now, you will not find many classes where the same class is needed for multiple types. There are some specific typical cases. For example, you have stack or list or queue and so on. Okay. There are some specific type of classes which you would like to use for multiple types. When you want such a case in your own program, what you need is to define a class template. What we will do in this particular module, we will talk about how to define a template class, we will look at the syntax of defining a template class. We will see how we can use it for a specific type. We will see how generic stack class can be defined, and then we will see how generic stack class can be used to define a stack integer class, stack character class, stack employee class, and so on and so forth. Okay. We are providing default arguments also that we have not seen in the function template case. If you are using an old compiler, beware, that is the reason why I am not provided this thing default arguments in the function templates. You can provide, the latest compilers allow that, older compilers do not, and there are some standard related issues why this has not been done. There is a story behind which I do not want to talk about that right now. Okay. And having a non-type arguments like you had with function templates here. So, we are going to talk about all of them. Okay. So, how you define a stack class? Like you can see that this template type name element type. Now, that is something which you have already seen in function template also exists here. We are defining a generic type. Okay. We are telling that e type is a name of a type that I am going to use in a subsequent design of my class stack. And you can see that I am defining the class and doing everything that I want using e type as a specific type. Remember, like function template, e type is also a placeholder. Whenever you define a stack of int or char or whatever, e type will be converted into or substantiated into or instantiated into that type. Okay. So, push and pop functions that we write, instead of writing a specific type, we use e type. Okay. So, the pop also returns an element of type e type. The rest of the code is very simple, and this is our stack pointer. If the stack pointer reaches to the zenith, we will say that we can't insert anything. So, stack overflow. Okay. Otherwise, we add that thing to an array element and then we will increment the stack pointer. And when you are trying to pop, and if the stack pointer is already 0, there is no element in the stack, we say that there is an error. But otherwise, what we do is we take that value out and reduce the stack pointer by 1. So, it is a very simple push and pop operation that you provide on stack. If you have not studied a subject like data structure, you probably will not understand what we are doing right here. Stack is a data structure which is last in first out. So, you insert first, will be taken out at the end. So, it is like this. So, if you have, and is usually denoted in this fashion. So, when you insert, suppose if I am inserting 1, 2, 5, 3. So, it is inserted like this. So, 1 is inserted at the bottom and this is called stack pointer. In the beginning it is here. Then you insert 2. So, the stack pointer moves up. Then you insert 5. So, stack pointer again moves up. Then 3. So, stack pointer is moved here. So, stack pointer always point to the topmost item or the last inserted item. and the pop function which we are doing here is just takes the topmost element out. So, if you after insertion of this, if that insertion is known as push, when you say pop, the first element comes out as 3. When you again say pop, the next element comes out at 5 and next element comes out at 2 and so on and so forth. The two conditions that we are testing is, suppose if I am implementing the stack using an array of 10 elements and I already have 10 elements, I cannot push further. So, I have this stack overflow error, and when I do not have any element and I say push, I can't push any, I can't pop anything out because there is nothing in the stack. So, if the stack pointer indicates the 0, it means there is nothing in the array. So, I can't pop anything out. So, it is an error. So, it is called stack underflow. So, these errors are being checked, and here are the call. See, I am defining a stack class. See this definition. This is a class name and this is the object. Class name, please understand, stack is not a class, stack int is a class. Okay. And now iStack has become a class. So, I can call iStack's push function with value 20 and then I can call iStack's push function with value 25. I could have added many more. Okay. And then I call pop and then again I call pop. What will it do? Will first return 25, the second call will return 20. So, that is the job of stack. And now, I define another stack of type character, because this declaration section indicates that it is a class of type stack. Like the function template case, when I am defining an object, a specific class is instantiated if it is not there. So, the first call to first definition of an object actually instantiates the class itself as well as the object. Okay. So, here a char stack is constructed and also a C stack object is instantiated or created, and now C stack I am pushing j and h, okay, and then popping them out. So, I get h and j out. Okay. As I mentioned before, stack is last in first out kind of a data structure. It can be used for multiple types of data. In this case, when you define a template, stack int is for integer, stack char for stack, and we will see later that is I can even have stack employee. So, I can do that. Okay. So, like the function template case, the object, the first object of that class, whenever it is defined, the class comes into existence at that point of time, and we know it is called instantiation. Okay. Template class definition, like function class definition, won't demand any memory, because we are not actually defining any class when you define a template. We only define a sketch, we only define an outline of what a class should look like. No member function comes into existence, nothing, unlike a conventional class case. So, whenever you define a class, all functions will come into existence irrespective of whether you define any object or not. Here it is the other case, nothing comes into existence, it is only a sketch, only an outline, only a template. Okay. So, whenever you define that object, the class comes into existence, all member functions will come into existence at that very point of time. Okay. Okay. Member functions are not constructed when they are defined. Okay. Here they only are defined, constructed when an actual object of that class is instantiated for the first time. That class will be instantiated at that point of time. Okay. You can also define these functions outside the class in case of template class. The way to do that is little clumsy, because the syntax is quite typical. Okay. Because the first thing when you do that, what you are supposed to do is to have that declaration of that particular member function in the class itself, and then define those functions outside the class. You may ask why one should do it. There are normally two reasons for doing it. First, it makes class look less cluttered. You can just see the class definition on just one page is good enough, because there is no function definition in the class, only the prototype, only the declaration. It makes you easily be able to view the content of the class. So, that is one reason, and second reason is when a class is using some other class objects and you will have to define those classes. Whenever that is happening, those member functions actually will have to be defined after definition of both the classes. In that case, you can only do it outside the class and not inside. Okay, fine. So, the member functions are all template functions, their body is identical, the types are different. Okay. So, how that is done? Okay. So, what I do is I define push and pop, I declare push and pop here with that E type, which I have already made as a generic type. Okay. So, I am just calling push and pop, declaring push and pop, and I am defining actually them here. So, it is basically the stack E type. Now, please understand, stack is not a is not a class, stack E type is a class. Push is a function of that class. So, we have scope resolution operator and then push, and this is the type, which the written type of that, and because I am using E type basically is a template, I have to say that template type name E type, which is basically a type. So, that is how I need to. So, this push and pop, this syntax is little clumsy, but once you understand it, it becomes easier for you to understand and write. Okay. One of the very useful application of a template class is called a safe array. Now, that is what we are going to do. If you have coded using C earlier, you know that one critical thing which C programmers have to deal with is array boundaries. And if you miss an array boundary, for example, if you define an array of 10 and if you refer to element 12th or 15th or 20th, C will not mind actually. The program will not only compile, will run and return something which you do not expect. Okay. So, why it does not check the boundary, that you may ask for the first this thing as a reaction. The point is that if the code that you write, for example, A1 equal to 5 and A23 equal to 7 and something, that will compiler will convert that into an object code. And one of the critical design goal of C++ and C as well is the efficiency. So, efficiency can be achieved if you generate the list number of instructions. So, if you omit those array boundary checks every time, it executes much faster, because that many instructions are removed. And it is good also, because in most of the cases the programmer does not do such a mistake. So, that is great, but then there is a problem sometimes. Sometimes when you refer to an element which is not part of the content, it can create havoc. If you know a bit about buffer overflow attack, is actually based on this vulnerability of C and C++ programming. If you want to avoid that, what you can do is you can provide safe array. How safe array works is defined next. We will talk about that. Here this program which comes next also talks about how you provide default argument. We have seen that function templates also provide default arguments now, but then if you are using an ORDL compiler, function templates will not provide, class templates anyway are providing. So, we are talking about them under them. Okay. Okay, so, how the safe array is defined and used is provided here. Okay. So, I define a class called safe array, but then obviously, I am using something called type. So, I will have to define that thing here. So, I say type name type. Now, I also provide equal to end. Now, you know that this is a default argument. If the argument is not specified, take it as int. I am also provide the size. But this is a non-type argument. This is not a type argument, int. Okay. But then I also can have non-type argument, and I also can have them by default having some value. So, I can call this safe array with multiple arguments. If I do not provide any argument, these values are taken as default arguments. So, default case is integer with 10 elements. Okay. I can have safe array with other elements, but default is this. Okay. And here is the code for overloaded array subscript operator. You can see that this is the syntax. It returns, why it returns a reference? Obviously, because we are going to use arrays on the left hand side like this. When you use a function on the left hand side, it has to return a reference. So, it is doing so here, and obviously, the array is of some type and that reference of that type is written. So, that is why we do it this way. Here is a code, okay, for checking it. Okay. So, if the index size is not right, will not let the program go further. So, it will not compile. Okay. Now, I am using safe array. For example, I can call int 9. I just call with care. Now, though the second argument is 10. So, it is basically character array with size 10. I am not calling with any argument, but this angular bracket, empty angular bracket is very needed. You cannot omit it like function template. You have to have it. When you have it as empty, will take a default value. So, int and 10 will be assumed. So, here are 3 cases with different set of arguments. So, you can understand now the use of default arguments. Okay. And you can have both arguments as well. As I said, this is not acceptable because we need this. Not only that, if I write safe array, okay, well, you can write any argument here. You can write safe array anything, int 50, whatever you can. Okay, you can write anything that you want. If you want, only if you want to have default this thing, you just write safe array, okay, and the value, the array that you want to define, the name of the array. Now, what I am doing is safe array 0, 7, 9, 2. I can actually, if I do something like this, S I A 1. Now, A 1 is defined as 9, and if I say that 20, what will happen? If I write such a code, I just say that equal to 5 or something, whatever. When I write such a code, this 20 will be looked at, and 20 is outside the boundary, this statement will not compile, and programmer will learn about the mistake at the compile time rather than run time, and that is the biggest advantage of using the safe array. Okay. In fact, in a template class, you know, normal classes can have a static member. A static member is a very critical component of every class. In fact, whenever a class needs to define attributes of its own. Now, please understand there are 2 different types of attributes a class can have. A class can have attributes which are inherited by all objects of it. A class may have an attribute which belongs to itself. For example, the number of objects of a class is an attribute that the class does not inherit. Okay. So, its class is own. For example, man is a class, and the total number of man in the world may be 20 lakh, then the 20 lakh is not inherited by somebody who is man. So, it's jokingly said some time back an example that Sachin is a man, men are distributed all over the world, that means Sachin is distributed all over the world. Now, this syllogism, this is wrong. Why it is wrong? Because man being distributed all over the world is not an attribute of the class which is inherited, it is an attribute of the class itself. Okay. So, when you want to represent such attributes, what you need to do is to have a static member of a class. Okay. Anyway, so let us talk about a typical case here. A static int as total is the static variable member of a class. Okay. Our stack class now will have this thing. Now, this will tell me number of stacks generated so far, number of stack objects. Okay. And my constructor will do 2 things: initialize SP with 0, okay, I am using member wise initialization list, and increment S total by 1. All static elements are default to 0. So, this is already 0 and I am incrementing. So, whenever an object is defined, I will just increment S total by 1, a very simple code. Okay. Now, I am defining stack int, stack char, and then I am writing as total of both of them and doing it. So, when I define one element of each of the classes, the output is 1 1. When I am defining second element of the same class, the S total value is incremented by 1. What is the point? The point is that every class will have a copy of static variable, and that is very natural. Let there is a single template class, but I have got two overloaded classes, one for int, the other for float, and int S total is different than char S total. Okay, so, you can see that I am defining and using both of them separately, and I get these values. Okay, what is the difference actually? The conventional static member of a class and a static member of a template class. One static member for every type of a class instantiated. So, every type of a class instantiated, stack char you have one S total, stack EMP you have the other S total, stack int you will have other S total, and so on and so forth. So, you have different static members for different classes instantiated for different types, and that is logical as well, because every stack int is a different class and stack char class. They have nothing in similarity except the code being the same. They are exclusively different classes. So, S total of S int has to be different than S total of stack character. Okay. In fact, we have already seen, you already know this, that I can actually use, if I have a static member as S int, I can use an object. Okay, so, SC dot notation, object dot static number, but in that case the object is basically a dummy object, it has nothing to do with that element. Okay. I can also use the scope resolution operator like this. In either cases I will get the same value, because there is a single static member shared by all elements of all objects of the class. Okay. So, that is what is being shown here. Like function template, you can have a specialized class for a specialized case. Now, we will have a very simple case again. We define a stack which can take in employee objects, and now what we do is, now when we insert a employee object, we will not insert the entire object. Maybe the object is too heavy for us to have in the stack. So, we decided that way. We only insert an employee number, and when we pop, that employee number is popped out, and if it is to be displayed, what we do is, we will pick up that employee number, look in the array, find out the employee object, pick up that employee object, and then display it. Okay, so, this is what we are going to do. Okay. Fine, why this model is used, it is quite efficient in terms of memory, but it is not very good in terms of this thing, the process time, because it requires an additional search operation, but fine, sometimes you may need to have something of this type. How it is defined? I just have a class employee. The stack class that you are going to have is going to be a friend. Why? Because I need to access some of the private members of the stack class. For example, if I am using stack of employee, I need to pick up that employee number and insert it. So, I can't access that employee number, which is a private member of that class, unless I am a friend. So, that is the reason why this friend is added. And also I define a dummy employee. A dummy employee with employee number 0, any employee object with employee number 0 is a dummy employee, and we may be using it as an identity element. Okay. So, whenever we do not want to return an employee object, we cannot find an employee object. This is basically used for the search case, when you try to search something and you do not get that thing in the array, what should you do? So, here we have defined a dummy employee object, which we are going to return. So, that is the precise reason for defining this dummy employee. And we have an overloaded operator for using with cout, and we have an employee list which we have already used in the earlier case. Okay. Now, the function, this function is already, we have already seen this function. So, I do not want to talk about that generic function. Okay. Now, we have push and pop operations, and we have seen, let me show you the differences. First thing, instead of returning an employee, it returns an employee reference 1, that is one very critical difference. Second, push, it only inserts the employee number. You can see that this is a typical, I am not inserting EMP inside the stack, I am only inserting the employee number, and this is the statement which demands that friend, because I am dealing with employee number. The employee number, I will not be in a position to access that private member if I am not a friend. So, this class being a friend can access that, otherwise it will not. Okay. So, and here also what happens is it will just look at that employee number. Okay. So, it searches for that employee number. If I get that thing, it is just fine. Okay. If I do not get, I will return the dummy employee. So, this is the process, and I am using this G search again. Why? Because whatever I get popped out, whatever is popped out, I will have to search in the list and get that employee object, which I already have talked about. Okay. The main program is pretty simple. It defines an employee stack, then it pushes 10 elements and then popping all 10 elements out. If you run the program, you will see that the elements are written, displayed in exactly inverse order of they happen to be there in the array. Obviously, the reason is because the stack is the last in first out thing, the last thing is inserted first. Okay. So, A 1 2 3 4 5 are inserted. So, 5 4 3 2 1 is popped out. Why pop returns a reference? That is the only probably is a question that you have in your mind. But remember, whenever you return a reference, there are two advantages, or there are two things that you can do. First thing, you can, whenever you return a reference, that reference you can use that function as on a left hand side. Why you can do it? You better read my book. I have described that thing in a serious detail, or you may read some other book where this is done. That is one. Second thing, whenever you are using it, that thing is in a chain. So, whenever a function's output is to be used by other function, in our case it is something like that, C out, a statement like this, an employee, pop. Okay, we are calling pop here, whatever. So, if whenever this is to be done, okay, C out, and this is returning a reference of that employee, which basically I am going to use. Okay. So, that is the reason why I need to return a reference. If I do not use a reference, I actually need to define a dummy additional temporary variable and then call C out with that, which I do not need to actually, because that temporary construction and all that is just removed once you do this. With that note, we conclude this module, friends. What we have done in this module, we have looked at class templates, we have seen how class member functions can be defined outside the class, we have seen how specialization of a function can be, the class can be defined and used. We have also seen a safe array case, which is a classic application of a class template, which showcases how one can define a safe array where array boundaries are possible to be checked by overloading the array subscript operator. Okay. So, with that note, we conclude the 17th module. Thank you all, friends.